swing of the right leg, and we're underway.
Here we go.
You know what time the game starts? All right, here we go, fellas. Let's have a little fun today. Is anybody else tired, or is it just me? I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
From the goal line, the 5 to 10, the 15, through a hole to the 20, to the 30, outside to the 40. He may be gone. Midfield to the 40, the 30, the 25, 20, the 10, 5. Touchdown for Desmond Howard.
What's happening, Packers fans? Welcome to another edition of PWW Halftime Hits. I'm Matt Freilich. Alongside me, Ryan Schoberg. Schoberg, what the hell's happening? Did you said you were able to catch the first few minutes of the game? When I was sitting there at the damn Vikings game went into overtime, and I know you're in enemy territory, so you were able to adjust and shake and move, huh?
Yeah, I streamed it on some illegal sites. Don't tell the cops or anything, but
never.
Streamed the game, had the Vikings on the big screen, was hoping for either a tie or a loss. That didn't happen, but got to watch the beginning of the Packer game, and here we are. Kind of a weird first half, kind of not a lot of action. This is the least notes I've taken for a first half so far this year. What do you think, Matt? What were some of your reactions?
Well, it's a fast game, right? Obviously, like the first – what would it have been? 20 minutes of play was just like in a blur. Less than an hour and a half. I think it was an hour, maybe 15, hour 20 if I'm doing the math quick in my head. So rough start for the Pack. Obviously, the Eagles start with the ball and just triculate down the field and no stops at all. Defense looking pretty suspect.
Sus.
Very sus. Very sus. Rashawn Gary came back at the end there. We saw on that third down. So after we saw him tweak that same ankle that you've been pissed off about for weeks. But outside of that, it's been okay. Offense, that first drive was like, ooh, man, 3 and out, 2 negative plays right away. Not the best. To be honest, on the opposite end, like Rashawn and Kiki have been awesome. The other side, like Chandon Sullivan looks pretty rough out there. He's getting burnt, can't tackle. But offensively, they're coming around, and it's been a nice kind of steady eddy since last week, and then since we've gotten all the pieces back on offense.
So for all you who missed the first initial Eagles drive, you missed a revelation on this defense. Mike Pettin played 2 linebackers on first and second down routinely.
Yeah.
That's about the first time I've seen that this year. But then we went away from it. It didn't really burn us in the rest of the half, but I liked the 2 linebacker sets against the run. We played the run a little bit better than we have been against the Eagles last year and so far this year. But I love the 2 linebacker sets with Kamal Martin and Christian Kirksey in there. Yeah. Maybe get Chris Barnes involved a little bit here in the second half. But we got to stop the tight ends a little bit. They're the only ones who are making any plays for the Eagles on offense, and very few plays made for the Eagles on offense.
Very few. And when you're getting cooked up by Goddard and Ertz, like you should be able to cover them, especially when you're playing with more defensive backs in the secondary. And to your point, Kamal Martin, Christian Kirksey. Kamal's looking great. He's got those plays, those flash plays once in a while. Christian Kirksey's just, in that pass coverage there when he was covering Boston Scott, it's just turn the ball, find it. Like, I know you don't want to turn around and get burnt, but like you got to turn your head around, man. That probably should have been a pass interference call on him. Chris Barnes, by the way, I had forgot this the last few weeks doing other podcasts and even PWW stuff. Like, he was on the COVID list. I didn't even realize it until this last week when they reactivated him off that. So but we're not seeing him out there today. More Rashawn Gary, as we mentioned at the start, tweaked that ankle but came back. So definitely seeing his snaps at the same level as it was last week. Not a one-time thing where we're just testing him out. Preston Smith not getting as much time, but I think that's good, right? He's able to they're both able to intermix. They can work Rashawn down in the box a little bit more if need be, put his hand in the dirt, maybe down in the nose tackle or defensive tackle position. And they can kind of just they don't have to be, get too gassed. I noticed on a couple plays, Rashawn was definitely looking like he wanted to get a breather, but it was actually for Preston, so he had to go again. But Rashawn Gary, man, that is the silver line, not the silver lining, because that's overused. The silver lining this year has been 100% the offensive lineman. But Rashawn Gary is the pleasant surprise, I'll say, come this 2020 season. A lot of people were coming for his head last year, myself included, thinking, he's a number 12 pick. Let's make sure you perform at that. And he wasn't able to do that. but it looks like it's just been a work in progress. And to his credit, I think he's coming along strong once we get towards these cold games. And we're going to see what happens when we get later in this game. But so far, so good. His ankle's fine. Anything on the offensive side of the ball? I mean, let me just throw it to you. Are you shocked that Tavon Austin didn't get activated today, and then Tyler Ervin is back? I guess you wouldn't be shocked Ervin's back, but
with Ervin playing, I guess not too shocked they didn't get the activation considering he was just signed, but I hope to see him next week. You know, we make this signing and we're hoping to see some interesting things with a Tavon Austin type on this offense, kind of get that weapon going across the middle, as Tyler Ervin is decent at that role, but he doesn't break a lot of tackles at the end of the day for how good his agility is. He just doesn't break a lot of tackles. He goes down pretty easy, and having Tavon Austin in this offense would be fun to see. Friend of the show, Gary here, says the turning point of the half was kind of when the clock went to the second quarter. And while I maybe agree with some of that, I think the real turning point of this first half was the 2 sacks that knocked Philadelphia out of field goal range. And those 2 sacks came from the defensive stars of the first half, Kingsley Keke and Rashawn Gary. Keke had 2 sacks respectively, had a tackle for a loss, I'm pretty sure, and another QB hit in there. And then, like you were saying, Rashawn Gary he's really turning that corner. He's becoming that player that we were expecting to see with the 12th overall pick last year. He has 1.5 sacks in the first half, 2 quarterback hits, 1 tackle for loss, and I don't know if he'll get credited with the pressure on that last play of the first half pretty much. He absolutely should, even though Carson Wentz got above the line of scrimmage, gained a few yards, so that's where I don't think he'll get a quarterback pressure. But he's been all over Carson Wentz all game and dominating this game on the defensive side of the ball.
Most definitely. My brother was chiming in there when we're going to see Tavon Austin. He wasn't activated for the game today, which kind of sucks. So I'm assuming, like we mentioned last week, it's based off of, or it would have been Pack-A-Day this week, based off of Tyler Ervin being healthy. You probably wouldn't see both of them being activated for a game left. I don't know who that player would be at this point if they're both healthy. Maybe it's Jay Sternberger. We saw him go out with an injury. So I want to get to, a little quick, I reminded myself, Derek Barnett. Is he just a prick? Like, he's just a big prick. Like, that hit he had on Jamal Williams last year, that dirty helmet shot. And then clearly you could see early in the game, him and Bakhtiari are going at it. And then that play on Sternberger, I initially saw Barnett fly over the top of Sternberger. And then the aftermath in the dust was Sternberger laying on the ground pretty much unconscious. And then a couple plays later, David Bakhtiari is trying to spring open Tanyan on that little, I guess, rollout. And he clips Barnett. Real time looked like it was a dirty hit, but really he was just he kind of clipped him with the shoulder. He didn't go low on him, but Barnett's just one of those guys, huh? He's just an ass.
Barnett, you can see when he's talking crap because his helmet's going like this,
right?
And his helmet's going like this constantly. So I think David Bakhtiari gave him that little hit going into Robert Tanyan by the end zone on purpose. I mean, he's watched his teammate get injured last year, Jamal Williams from him, like you mentioned, and this year with Jay Sternberger laying borderline unconscious on the field. But yeah, I think Derek Barnett could be put into that prick category as you're hinting there.
He absolutely is. Like, and when he was going off, he got banged up, like we said, and he's jawing with Rodgers as he's walking off the field. Like, I hope Pat McAfee, shout out for the brand. Like, I hope he's watching the game today. I'm sure he is. That he would bring this up on Tuesday when we have him live, because I'm interested to see what he was saying to them. They brought that up when Darius Leonard and him were having a good conversation against the Colts a couple weeks ago. So I'm interested to see if they'll bring that up on Tuesday's showing with Pat McAfee and the boys on YouTube and everywhere else. But outside of that, I'm trying to think if there's anything that I guess the run game really. I mean, Jordan Howard just thrown to the trash couple, last week or two, whatever it was, from the Dolphins, and then signed from the practice squad. And he hasn't done phenomenal this week, but it's just like you could really put anyone in the backfield, it seems, at this point, and run it down the throat of the Packers, which is just kind of just pisses me off at this point. I don't know when that's going to change, if that'll ever change, but I guess that's really what else I'm looking at. Offense or defensively too, like, I guess just Chandon is the one that's really been bothering me. And then Kirksey not finding that ball, but overall the pressure's there.
So I'm going to make my case for Aaron Rodgers for MVP. Peter Bukowski this week, I think, brought up the best point that I've seen so far for Rodgers being MVP. All these national talking heads have been talking about how Mahomes is in first place for the MVP right now. And obviously he's having a great season. If he wins, I wouldn't be mad. So let's not go there. I'm not slighting Patrick Mahomes at all, but they're all saying he has the best surrounding supporting cast at the skill positions. And all these same talking heads say Aaron Rodgers has the worst supporting cast at the skill positions, which I don't agree with personally. I don't think Green Bay has the worst, but a lot of these people say that. So if Aaron Rodgers hypothetically has the worst and Patrick Mahomes has the best, and Aaron Rodgers is putting up numbers that are equal to or better than Patrick Mahomes, wouldn't that vault Aaron Rodgers ahead of Patrick Mahomes in the MVP race? Plus, he's 37 years old. Pat is what, 24, 25 years old? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me how people are still talking about Russell Wilson or even Dalvin Cook, but not Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first of all, Patrick Mahomes is so young; he doesn't even know what condiment to use on a steak properly. He's probably a medium well guy.
Shut up! I'm also a ketchup on steak guy.
Oh God, concerning. The other thing is you got to remember too, man. I've had this for I don't know half my life, where it's like MVP, most valuable player, right? It should be who's the most valuable, and brings their team up to a higher level without them, regardless of if their talent's great on the team, it's going to only help that, but it should almost be like the one that, they raises them a few notches, right? So to your point, I totally agree with Rodgers if we're having that conversation. He doesn't have the worst supporting cast, definitely doesn't have the best, but at the end of the day, that's just not what it comes down to. It really comes down to numbers. It comes down to sexy plays, and it's really going to come down to the last couple weeks of the season here and who does well in the playoffs. I mean, that's unfortunately what it is. And for a while I was on Russell Wilson train, but the last 3 weeks he hasn't really done anything. He's doing nothing right now in the first half versus the Giants. I think I don't even know if they scored a touchdown yet. They're probably at halftime as well. But I mean, right now, if Rodgers keeps performing like this, you'd have to think he is the MVP. The other thing you got to look at is, we're just such a knee-jerk reaction society, especially with social media. Like, weren't the Chiefs off last week? So it's like right there, we forgot how good Patrick Mahomes is. Oh, and all of a sudden they're going to play, and we're going to remember that he's just incredible. So it's probably unless Russ can pull something out of his hat in the last couple of weeks here, and Cook actually once again, it's really going to come down to it's going to come down to our boy Rodgers and Mahomes at the bottom stretch here. So. We'll see what Mahomes can do in their game. I don't know if they're playing tonight. I think that's a Sunday night game.
Yep.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting, but I think it's a two-team race or two-player race at this point. But hell, Rodgers is playing out of his mind, man. It's like you take for granted sometimes just how incredible he is because we're just so used to it.
So Nance and Romo are bringing us back in here.
Okay.
I have a quick adjustment for us.
Yep.
18 rushing yards. Get some push up the middle. Fletcher Cox and Hargrave is just destroying the A and B gap right up the middle. So I know we have different guards in there than general. I mean, Patrick is playing his normal spot, but we have a little bit different of a shuffling up front. If we can adjust a little bit, get that running game going, maybe do outside zone instead of trying to rush right up the middle right away. I think getting more than 18 yards rushing will be good for this team going forward in the second half.
Everything I've noticed, they've been running from the shotgun too, kind of in power heavy sets through the shotgun, that's fine if you're trying to take it, but it's just you haven't really made it a focal point, so maybe they'll do that right now. But they still have an opportunity to air the ball out a little bit.
Tyler Irvin to the 35.
Appreciate the update. So even getting Tavon Austin off his back a little bit, but yeah, I would say establish the run a little bit. Last question: who's getting the 400th touchdown? I already said MVS on a previous Pack-A-Day episode this week. Who do you think?
I'll take Big Bob Tanyan. He's going to score. Yeah, he's going to score his second one today. I like him today. Rodgers has been looking for him a lot.
All right. Hopefully we get that 400 today. But for Ryan Schoberg, I'm Matt Freilich. You guys enjoy the second half. Go Pack, go.
Now here's the run-up. Swing of the right leg, and we're underway.
Here we go.
You know what time the game starts? All right, here we go, fellas. Let's have a little fun today. Is anybody else tired, or is it just me? I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
From the goal line, the 5 to 10 to 15.